Today I'm presenting to you version 2 of Positive Reinforcement by Team Omega Alpha Supreme Games. Our intent remains the same. Our game is still intended for a younger generation, and our goal is to help expand their growing and creative minds. The game will continue to run on the Wii U platform. Positive Reinforcement is a top-down game comprised of 6 levels. These levels will scale in difficulty, always providing a unique challenge for our players. The core of Positive Reinforcement is our players finding NPCs and convincing them to let go of their negative emotions. Once the player has the negative emotions, they will then modify it into a positive emotion. Players can wager a portion of these emotions they have already obtained with the gambler to modify it into an even stronger emotion. From version 1 to version 2, we have removed the steal mechanic as well as our locate and finding mechanic. The things we have added in their place are the communication system between NPCs, as well as adding a new NPC called the Gambler. Let's take a look at the new and old mechanics, starting with communication. Players must convince NPCs to hand over their negative emotions. The system has a succeed and fail system built inside of it. If a player fails the communication check, they will lose the chance to obtain that NPC's emotion. If the player does succeed in communicating with the NPC, they will obtain the negative emotion. Once the player has obtained the emotion, they will then modify it into a positive emotion. They will be prompted with an X button on the screen that they will need to rapidly press in order to modify it into positive. Our choice mechanic allows players to communicate with any NPC they come across. They also have the choice to mix emotions. If they mix emotions, the emotion will become stronger and allow the player to gain a higher score at the end of the level. With the addition of the Gambler, players can wager emotions they have already obtained. The player can then modify the emotions. If they win the wager, they will gain a greater amount. If they lose, all that they wagered will then be lost. When the modification takes place after a wager has been bet, a timer is added to the X button. This allows an added challenge to the wagering system. Our last core mechanic is a trading system. Our players can trade with a merchant to increase their charisma, modifying abilities. Players will need to find items or money in order to trade with merchants in our game. Positive Reinforcement remains simple but very unique compared to similar games on the market. For example, Fallout 3 has a succeed and fail chat system, but the player can still beat the game even if they fail the chat. Mario Party as well does have a wager system that can influence the outcome of the game, but it is mostly based on luck. Our wager system involves players' skill. Our game takes many successful mechanics and has them all intertwined. Similar games on the market to ours keep their mechanics separate, and that's what makes our game so unique. Our mock images represent the interactions our player will experience in the game. This slide shows our player wagering amount of emotions to the Gambler. Following this, we can see the player modifying the emotion. And then in our final image, we are showing how a player is trading with the merchant. The player's inventory is on the left, and the merchant's inventory is on the right. Our control scheme is still set up to be very easy to use and manageable by anyone. The left analog stick is movement. The touchscreen can change the betting amount. D-pad is choice. X will modify emotions. Y can interact with merchants and the Gambler. A will communicate with NPCs, and B will cancel any communication the player wishes to no longer have. Thank you very much. This has been our presentation of version 2 of Positive Reinforcement. I hope you have a nice day.